All right. My main camera's acting up, but just like the Utah Jazz in this game, the effort doesn't really matter, does it? We ended up dropping this one in a pretty predictable fashion. You know, free throw desperation, but just genuinely across the line, they outplayed our pieces. You had Rui Hachimura going 12 of 18, 5 of 7 from 3. You had Anthony Davis going 13 of 24, hit one out of his two three-pointers. Austin Reeves was 8 of 11, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. You had D'Angelo Russell, who was 4 of 8. Spencer Dinwiddie was 4 of 6, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. D'Lo had 8 rebounds, 14 assists. Anthony Davis had 15 assists. 15 rebounds, Austin Reeves had 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Those were the most important metrics for them. They only had 8 turnovers across the entire game and shot a total of 24 free throws, which is pretty modest, to be honest. The issue was our foul count was relatively low. In another game, of course, Lowry finally got 2 free throws in that fourth quarter, but before that, things looked a little bit shaky. But for them, you had Rui Hachimura with 33. You had Anthony Davis with 37. You had Austin Reeves with 20. You had D'Lo with 11. And then Spencer Dinwiddie poured in 10 off the bench. Going on to us, you had Lowry 6 of 14, 2 of 6 from 3, went 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 8 boards, 16 points, box score plus minus of a negative 10. John Collins was 5 of 10, missed all 3 of his 3-pointers. I'm wondering if there's some sort of arm or hand injury that's kind of holding him back, because it's getting a little bit concerning now. It's been about 15, 20-ish games almost where he's been shooting very poor from 3. 1 of 3 from the free throw line as well. He had 10 boards, though, and 11 points. Box score plus minus of just a negative 6 in 28 minutes. Walker Kessler in 25.5 minutes was 4 of 11. Missed the 1 3 that he did take. I'm just happy that he took one. He had 6 rebounds for them being offensive. He had 3 blocks, 8 points, and overall box score plus minus of a negative 14. Colin Sexton, of course, 8 of 15, 2 of 5 from 3. Had 2 assists, 2 blocks, surprisingly. 18 points, which was the most for our team. And a box score plus minus of a negative 6. Keontae George, in 30 minutes, had a good shooting night tonight, guys. Ultimately didn't end up being enough, but shout out to him for riding the ship after having a very rough game against the Stephen Curry-led Warriors. 5 of 8 from the field today, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, only 2 turnovers, and 13 points overall for a box score plus minus of a positive 1 across 30.5 minutes, almost 31 minutes. Taylor Hendricks also played, but played up kind of insignificant minutes, only 13, almost 14 minutes. He was 3 of 8 from the field, though, including 1 of 6 from the three-point line. So that is a mild thing to keep an eye on, because he is supposed to be able to shoot 3. So 1 of 6 is not exactly ideal, but he was getting those shots up. He had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 personal fouls, total of 7 points for a box score plus minus of a negative 8. Jordan Clarkson was 6 of 13 today, 3 of 7 from 3, hit both of his free throws, had 5 assists, 1 rebound, did have 3 turnovers, which led the team. We had a total of 12 today, so not terrible turning the ball over, but enough. He had 17 points and a box score plus minus of a negative 11. Chris Dunn in 17.5 minutes, 5 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, hit the 1 free throw that he took, had 1 rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal, 12 points total. Box score plus minus of a negative 21. So he was part of the worst lineup on the field, despite, being efficient from the field today himself. And then rounding things out, you had THT going 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, hit both of his free throws, had 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 turnover. 7 points, box score plus minus of a negative 10. Overall, free throw disparity was by 14. They were 20 of 24. We were 8 of 10. So effectively, they had 12 more points off of free throws than we had. Not that it would have won us the game, because, again, we lost by 17. But, just something to keep an eye on. They also they did not entirely update all of these stats. Let me look down this list real quick. Yeah, they definitely didn't update this stat sheet. I was wondering why it looked the way that it did. No, we lost by 16, gentlemen. 16. It just didn't auto-populate the bench scoring. That's what it was. But nothing too insane. D'Angelo Russell actually had 17 assists, just missed a triple-double with 9 rebounds. Uh, looking down at our numbers, we did get them up to 13 free throws. Excuse me, we hit 10 of them, so they had 10 more free throws made than us and 11 more free throws attempted overall. The rebounds were even. We both had 49 apiece. We had 15 offensive to their 5. Assists, they had 5 more than us, 34 to our 29. For Kira Lewis Jr., Bryce Sensabaugh, Lucas Somanic, Omer Yurtseven, they all came in the last 2.5 minutes of the game, combining for 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from the 3-point line, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. They had 3 boards altogether, 2 assists, 1 steal, and box score plus minus of a +7. Yeah, so I guess that's something to be happy about, right? He said, frustrating. Yeah, Hoopfest, I'm right behind you all the way. Very frustrating. DK57, he said, it's all about losses rather than wins. Just is what it is. They're prioritizing the development of the young guys, which rightfully so, but, being in a situation where it just makes you look like a sorry team just doesn't really entice me. What's up, Logic? Nick, you said, it's clear, man. I know complaining about the refs ain't it, but when it's what happening, it's clear as day. What else is there to say? Yeah. Management is willing to inflict bad karma on the team to save the top 10 pick. I don't understand I'm not completely behind the logic that we're using right now. I'm just hoping in 3 seasons it makes sense and we're winning enough games for it to justify what happened in the past. Because let's face it, if in the next 5 years you don't have a possible championship contending team, the question becomes, what were you thinking and how can you justify it not working effectively? We said, as long as Ainge is running the team, the Jazz will never compete for anything. We need a front office who will kill the mom and pop mentality and adopt playoffs or bust attitude. I mean, the thing is, Danny Ainge has built competent playoff teams before. I just don't particularly love how he's going about it this year, even though it kind of rivals what some other teams have done. It's not my thing. You said so much for the Jazz culture chatter. Those days are gone. That's the way it feels. The vets have checked out because they know management isn't serious about winning anytime soon. The Jazz taking a losing streak continues, basically. Everybody knows. He knows I always defend the refs, but I just copy and paste. I said, Utah Jazz updates page. He said the other thing to consider, even if for one playing game, the Jazz need to know if they can play Kessler. Remember how many teams forced Rudy off the court? Kessler is nowhere near what we had in Rudy. You bring up a very good point, and only playoff basketball will show us if that's possible. But, they'll wait till we're expected to make it for us to know. So apparently I can't paste it in here as a way to send a screenshot. I'm not sure how to pull it up on here. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie, fam. I don't know. How many minutes did Hendricks get? It was still in the teens again. He had 16. Yeah, 16 minutes. Let's see. Hardy is overrated and plays favoritism, maybe because of his youth. Andrew, in what context? Besides, I'm guessing you'll probably go Sexton, maybe. But a lot of Hardy's decisions at this point in the season, in particular, is going to be directly influenced by whatever the organization wants him to do as a whole, and he doesn't really have much say in that besides like implementing the structure that they agree on with the front office and running it that way. Um, Hardy is overrated in play. Whoops. Franchise is going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. The minutes classes. Yeah, I'm getting tired of everything. It's irritating and very fatiguing, to be quite honest. Colin Sexton should play more minutes. That's fair. Clarkson and George played too much. That's also fair. You said, okay, I'm gonna send it to you, right? You can just read it when you get it. I'm looking for it right now. Let me see here. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I see you, Dayton. I'm just waiting for it to load. Then I can read it to the class. You said I rarely complain about the rest, but holy crap. We couldn't buy a whistle. We were almost doubling them in rebounds, 26-14 on 11 more shot attempts, 4 more made buckets, including 3 threes, only 3 more turnovers, but had 4 more blocks yet trailed. This is halfway through the third. I could even accept all of that, but the worst of it was the Lakers were benching multiple key pieces for rest, which I thought the league discouraged, and they were on a back-to-back on the road. Like, what the F? 24-5 in free throws, and then they made it a little better after the game was over. Like, thanks, this doesn't help. Funniest part was we were up by 1. The Lakers behind me were complaining about the officiating. I was like, bro, you have 19 extra free throws. How many more do you want? Yeah, yeah, that's tends to be in line with what is usually the most predictable thing. Yeah. Yeah, this is a rough situation, honestly. What's up, Dallin? Yeah, it was not the most enjoyable thing. It's just insulting at this point. Sick of seeing Hardy do this nightly. The thing is, a lot of it he doesn't even have a choice in. It's just he's doing what the front office tells him to do. Um, we said, why are we starting George instead of Chris Dunn? The front office, Danny Ainge and management decided that they wanted to go ahead and start pushing the needle, the agenda of making the what do you call it? Making the young guys just play more, get some more experience, touch the court more, and start pushing more of the narrative of they don't call it tanking, so to speak. They just call it getting more experience for the young guys. In my eyes, it's tanking. If you put somebody that's objectively worse than another player on the court for significant minutes, you're actively, while you may be wanting that player to get more experience and be a better player, there are ways to do it without outwardly just throwing them out there. It's a lot, but it's more or less the end. You know, it's more or less the end. It's going to be tension with the team starting George is a bad move. Objectively, yeah. If they can get everybody on board with understanding that this is for the long-term success of a team and that they, even though they didn't put everybody on notice about the fact that, this was going to be the initial like plan the entire time, or whenever they decided it, they didn't disclose it to the players first. They just made the trades, and then the conversation was had afterwards. It's kind of crazy, but you know, neither here nor there. I had to come in here swinging, but man, let's get incognito. So to be fair, was George really okay the first? Yeah, George did not have a bad game tonight. Actually, I think the playing against the Lakers is significantly easier for him as a point guard than playing against the Warriors was because Stephen Curry doesn't really take that many plays off. He does a lot of off-ball movement. George has played against players and teams that have had a lot of off-ball movement, but nothing as significant or to the extreme degree that Stephen Curry is. Like he's a man amongst boys in that department. And the lack of conditioning to deal with that situation was blatantly apparent, and he just wasn't like fighting over screens, getting easily moved off his spots. Just really got ugly. Yeah. Riley, you said this team sucks. Can't disagree with you. Let me correct myself. Can't disagree with you. They had a good flow with Dunn and Sexton. Yeah. At the NBA right now, I'm frustrated with this rigged nonsense. Let me get your take on some non-basketball related. What's your greatest piece of life advice, man? That's a good question. I used to come up with quotes all the time, but the biggest thing right now that for me personally that pushes me a lot of times is this too shall pass. That's the quote. That's it. You're really excited. That'll pass eventually. You're really sad. You're struggling a lot in life. That too shall pass. You're really angry. You're really frustrated with somebody specifically, your situation, a system or cough, cough, your team. That too shall pass. It just puts a lot of things into perspective and allows you to like objectively just say, life might suck right now or life might be really good right now, but I have to be prepared for that point where the pendulum swings the other way and I have to deal with that, that other side of the coin because, happiness and sadness, anger and pleasure, they're all on two sides of the same coin, you know. And that's for me. But yeah. We said, why small guard in the starting lineup? Sexton George. I mean, technically, George is listed as 6'4", so if he is true 6'4", I wouldn't really call him small, so to speak, but it was inevitable to happen because Chris Dunn himself is also 6'4", so they don't really have the personnel to go particularly big unless you want to go THT, but who really wants to go THT? You know how that is. They tried to trade him, and apparently there was just not enough motion for him to go anywhere substantial. What is the franchise goal going forward? What are they trying to do? I'm thinking long term. Why didn't we tank last year? Why do we only trade KO and Simone this year? Why the middle ground? Pick a lane. I question what this was supposed to be at the beginning as well, because like when they first switched to Keontae George like midway through the season, I was like, we suck. So if you wanted to just say we're going to play a bunch of the rookies and we're going to be bad this year, it makes a lot more sense to just go ahead and, do it out the gate. But they didn't want to go that way, obviously. They just wanted to test the water, see how things were going. And it made things a little bit different, so to speak. So when we went on that run, I guess it surprised a lot of people, apparently. The team was playing really well, but they decided to stay the course with the front office and make that push to go ahead and trade those expiring contracts because they weren't planning on, trying to outbid another team just to keep Fontecchio, knowing that they also have to extend Lowry's contract. And I've heard rumblings that, the front office isn't the most thrilled about how much they're going to have to pay Lowry. But at the end of the day, he's a player that's worth it. So you got to make sure the money's there so you can still make other moves and not be bogged down by his single contract. At the same time, it just sucks all around. It's not an ideal situation no matter who you are. Danny Ainge to refund my season tickets I paid because I thought they would fight as hard as we could for a playoff spot in the summer. That was a lie. I feel you, Tatum. We should have drafted Cam Whitmore, Jaime Vasquez, and G.G. Jackson instead of the three. All our pieces aren't bad. We're just not there. I heard G.G. Jackson is a locker room issue, though, apparently. Add Rui to the list of guys who have career nights against the Utah Jazz, along with Keegan Murray, Dante DiVincenzo, Tyrese Maxey, etc. That's a crazy list to be on, but you're right, Andrew. You're 100% right. I'd respect if George was a top 6 pick, but he's 16th pick. There was no rush. I mean, to them, I guess there is. I guess they see something in him that they expect to develop very quickly. I just missed it. Why aren't any wings on the team? It should be fine for blatant taking. I mean, this is how they feel they can get things going. You said traded 2 semi-wings in Ochai and Simone. Yeah, Ochai was the most blatant wing that we had, and we just, decided to go with how we decided to. That boy Darion. Not gonna lie, Darion, I'm not really feeling the gym tonight. My fault. Just kind of a lot of stuff not basketball related going on, and if I go in that gym and I shoot like 20%, I'm not gonna lie, I might it might be the last night you see me, brother. Yeah. Nick said that's dope. This too shall pass. Yes, sir. This too shall pass. They don't even let Keontae cook. They force him to pass to Clarkson. So what are we really doing? Mm-hmm. You're not entirely wrong, Andrew. There's a lot of possessions where he just blatantly defers to Clarkson, which kind of defeats the purpose of what we're doing, allegedly. Like, is the goal to be as mid as possible every year and then tank to the end of the 9th pick because it's not going to get you far? I don't have that answer for you just yet. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to temper my expectations for the next few weeks because we aren't even a full week past the deadline yet. I'll give it 10 games. If by 10 games in, I think we'll have our like guaranteed rotation for how things are going to go the last 18 games of the season. So if things aren't really particularly good, then it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be how it's intended to be, and they'll just rock out for what it's worth. Will Hardy will do what he's supposed to do, what he's been paid to do, and he'll not put out the best lineup, but he'll put out a lineup that fits the scheme and the desires of the front office and the management team of the management of the team specifically. No effort, no defense. It's rough. Oh yeah, my other camera that I actually used for some reason wasn't registering, but I wanted to make sure I could go ahead and still stream for you guys. So I'm using my MacBook webcam, unfortunately this time. Not that there's anything particularly great to tell you guys today, though. He falling apart. He said, "Why would Lowry resign when we've shown him we don't care if he makes the postseason or not?" He'll probably resign under the impression that we probably end up trading him. I'm not gonna lie. If he is very displeased at a point, he's still going to stay long enough to get that that big chunk slapped on this next year because we can pay him an extra 25, I think, on top of this 18 million he's supposed to make next year if we extend him out. So he'll probably stay for that, and then if push comes to shove, request a trade is possible. Why is Jordan Clarkson playing so much? I don't have that answer for you, Incognito. I'm not gonna lie. You said if you ain't thrilled about paying Lowry, then you should have traded him at this deadline. I think they're waiting because if they trade him when he's once they already re-sign him for a bigger deal, then that gives them more value and more wiggle room to play with because whatever team they trade him to will have him for a significant period of time. It won't be a 1-year rental that they're, a year and a half rental that they're trading for and trying to convince Lowry to stay. He has no choice but to stay at that point because you have him on contract for 5 more years. You know what I'm saying? Lowry in a funk. Just tough defense. Tough defense. Face it, folks. They do not want to win now. Every loss gets them closer to keeping the favorites pick. They could go over. Go over. What's next to F? I think that's go over. And Angel will be happy. Can't help but think this has to weigh on marketing. I imagine it does. If the Jazz are ever going to have a championship parade down State Street, they need to go for it every year. Who cares about conveying picks or kids coming out of college who aren't ready to win now? You make a compelling point, Adam. Keontae got hurt. That's the only reason they went on that run. I don't think the front office was happy with those wins. Yeah, no, they could have cared less, to be honest. You see that the Warriors tried to trade for Bron. Yeah, that was the most random storyline. I thought I was seeing it like on Twitter. You know how you got NBA Central, that's one actual news outlet, and then you have NBA Centel, and they just post like BS stories and everything. I thought it was them posting that. I'm not gonna lie, until I saw. I was like, multiple sources. Nah, y'all are crazy. Like that would have been a tough duo to have over there. It would have solved a lot of the Warriors' problems. Not every problem, but a few of them. But they're doing okay now, anyway, so they'll be all right. 3-guard lineups are back. I hate it. 2, low effort on defense. 3, if the Jazz can't find a rotation to win or make competitive games, Larry might leave. It's going to be interesting to see how things go. He said, yo, do you play basketball or did you ever play? What position? What your strengths, weaknesses on the court? Oh, that's an interesting question, Nick. I did play basketball. I still play a little bit, actually. Recently, I've been back in the gym getting some shots up. But like more of a wing forward type. Naturally one of the taller people on the team, regardless. So it's just kind of like I got put in that situation. Happens to the best of us, right? I just like how if you ever hear me, what do you call it? If you ever hear me like focus on somebody's defense or anything like that schematically, I'm a really cerebral type of player. I if I was to compare my type of play style to anybody in the NBA, uh, great court vision. I had more individually from my personal game. I had more of a Clay Thompson kind of thing, where I'm more of a catch and shooter, a one dribble pull up guy. I'm not a dribble the air out of the ball. I'm never gonna be Kyrie Irving. I understood that early on. That was just under my goal. Don't have the greatest amount of athleticism. Do have athleticism, just not the greatest. So I had more of a Clay Thompson offense. Really took pride in defense. Love defense. I hate players that refuse to play defense. I accept that some people are really talented on offense, and that's why they don't. They just don't have the energy to expend on that side. And yeah, that was just more so my thing, I guess. Biggest weakness though, my handle. But I never held the ball long enough to make that an apparent weakness. Like I was a quick decision maker, so you can never tell that was my biggest issue. Every time Taylor in THT attempts a three, another puppy is diagnosed with it. Whoa, Freddie. I was not expecting that at all. Wouldn't surprise me. You said Andrew, you might be right. Yeah. Yeah. The only black Utah fan. I'm sure there's others. There's a decent number. Usually, but see, the thing is, like Utah being a small market team, you're not going to find that many Utah fans outside of the state, or people that don't have family in Utah, or a specific person in the like a specific player. That's really it, to be honest. The way the season started is the front office wanted it from the start. Yeah, that's the way it's starting to look, Andrew. I'm not gonna lie, you're probably right. Join Laker Nation, we deep out here. Listen, being a Lakers fan is something. I don't have a great issue with Lakers fans overall, like genuine Lakers fans. Like if you were a Lakers fan back when people couldn't name the five starters, like back when Nick Young was a a poster boy out there, like even before those days, like no issue with those Laker fans whatsoever. But the ones that just like I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm not a Bron sexual. The Bron sexuals and the just ultimate Glazers, yeah, those people have a special place in my heart to not have an NBA conversation with me. But no, all love. Can't get over the Jazz trading. Fontecchio 6'8", 220, shot 40% from three, ideal wing. If he wasn't part of the future, and neither is Lowry, who is 2 years younger. I'm under the impression that they believe that Lowry has a higher ceiling than Fontecchio. And because of that, it makes him the more ideal candidate. Fontecchio must have had a very specific niche role that they saw for him, and they didn't see anything for him beyond that. Similar to Ochai, people could argue that Ochai was still too young to have been given up on just like that. At the same time, he might not end up being a player that is great, but whatever the case may be, it ends up being what it is. Anybody on the free agent buyout market that the Jazz could add that might help them recover enough to convey a pick and possibly still make playing? There is a couple pieces out there, JH, but I don't think that Ainge will actually pull the trigger on anybody. I think that this is the roster you're going to see like play out the rest of the year. So it's while the intention might not be to directly tank, they're going to tank by default because they're going to just suck enough to to be bad like that. You said, yeah, that's just the most likely thing. I play a bit of basketball too. If I had to compare myself to him, like MVP Derrick Rose, prime Michael Jordan, not gonna lie, I'm 5'9". Yo, Chris, you a fool. Probably not. I assume since it would be a wing, it could really pass. Yeah, for at least with THT. THT needs to accept he's a baby Zion that can only shoot in the paint. He won't. So Ainge says he traded open Bryce minutes. He traded to open Bryce minutes, and he hasn't played at all. He's played 50 games in the G League, and Taylor's played 40 in 10 NBA games. So why don't we play him when Ainge said he would? I'm under the impression that it's got to come soon. There's a very limited amount of time, right? We've got 27 games left in the year. It has to happen ASAP pronto. If it doesn't, we're going to see a lot of questions, right? Because at the end of the season, you're going to assume that Taylor Hendricks has amassed enough minutes for us to know generally like how his development is going to be, if he has the potential to really be as great as I personally think he is, or if he's going to be like more of a great value kind of guy, and maybe he just wasn't a genuine top 10 overall pick to begin with. It just ended up being where he fell in the draft for us. Keontae, very similar. Keontae has a larger sample size of data, but him being moved back to the starting lineup for 28 more games, that means he'll effectively have started half the games in the season by season's end. With that being said, it's going to be, if he can't put up a substantial like showing of growth and just development as an individual player at that point, people are going to have a couple question marks. And I think the front office will also have to have some question marks. Not to sit there and judge anybody on one season alone, but it's if you're going to force feed him minutes instead of, spoon feed him in specific situations, then there's going to be, you're going to have to directly address the problem as such. You're going to have to grade him accordingly. Shannon Sharp and Nick Wright are both Brown Glazers. It depends. Nick Wright rides the line sometimes. Sometimes Shannon's just being hilarious, but Shannon's usually pretty spot on. I'm not going to lie. At least you're getting more traffic. That's a good thing. I mean, yeah. Today we're having a good day. I'm going to have to hop off early because I need to shag out. Yeah, this game just wasn't great for us. But yes, you are right, and I am greatly appreciative of that. I appreciate all 30 of y'all, popping up in here. Made my night. What's up, boys? That was disgusting to watch aside from Chris Dunn. Yeah, that was a nice dunk. We're in a soft tank development mode. That's a great way to put it, Eugene. I'm not going to lie. We're going to call it a soft tank. We'll call it the developmental tank. The DT, the developmental tank. I like it. Kira over Keontae. I want to see Bryce play Keontae minutes. I'm not going to lie. Because Bryce was scoring a lot of points in the G League and pretty efficiently. I want to see if he can translate it to the NBA, because Keontae scores pretty good some games, and then other games he just, lays an egg. Case in point, last game and this game were night and day for him. Why did they trade for John Collins when you drafted Taylor Hendricks? They thought John Collins was going to be able, once his hand healed, they thought he was going to be able to get up to that like 19-9, 20-10 kind of caliber guy that he was at the very beginning in Atlanta when he was like reaching his peak. And he just didn't get back there. He didn't get acclimated to the system the way they thought he would. So the idea was Taylor Hendricks is regardless going to play behind him, but you can bring him along slower because you're going to have Olynyk and Collins ahead of him. And Collins is just going to be phenomenal, right? Or borderline really, really good, like a borderline all-star caliber player. And he wasn't, which is why they were so like, yo, we're ready to trade him now, today, because we're disappointed. Like, as soon as those reports started dropping, that was like the biggest thing, the biggest switch being flipped. Plus, we have Porter and Lewis, and don't see if they're better than THT or Collins. Why trade just to not give them like 5 minutes apiece? Because they just want to go ahead and get those contracts off their books. In their minds, they said, we want to trade these expiring contracts we have. And then Ochai, I think, was just collateral damage. I don't think that they planned on trading Ochai originally, but it was kind of like he's underperforming this year. He's in a sophomore year slump. We don't see him being a drastic, like a massive piece in the future of our rebuild. So let's go ahead and just, if we can get a first round pick out of this, let's go ahead and make that trade. So this shipped him out, and they got that late, it was a late first round, but a first round nevertheless. And then that second round pick. So they just had to take on expiring contracts to make the deals work, because of the new CBA rules require you to take on just as much as you're giving out contract wise, or within a certain percentage of it, I think. You watch prospects at all? Who do you like in the 2024 draft? Personally, this one drafted in 2013. I wouldn't go as far as 2000. 2013, I can see. I've seen a decent number of the prospects. I haven't really been enjoying college basketball like I have maybe like 3-4 years ago ish. But yeah, I'd say it's a rough draft. It's extremely weak, especially by comparison over the past 5, 6, 7 years even, right? It's a weak draft. But there's going to be a couple pieces here and there where they do surprise, but there's not going to be as many, and the draft isn't as deep as a lot of people have seen in the past. That's just how it's going to be. Warriors are next. I'm sorry, but we got to do it to y'all again. Yo, Flair, you just can't wait, can you? And you're probably going to win it too. If Keontae starts, He didn't learn his lesson the first time. I watched for 30 minutes Curry just eat this man alive. So he's gonna do it again. They traded for Collins because they're playing middle of the ground. They weren't good enough to be good. They don't want to be terrible, actively trying to be made a season. They welcome Kevin Knox on Twitter and then waved him. Yeah, that was nasty work actually. Creating a graphic to shout a guy out just to wave him bye-bye is insane. Absolutely insane. But they did it though. They did it. Yep. But I didn't want to take up too much of you guys' time. Just wanted to touch base, see how everything's, sliding with y'all. Any more interesting takes, thoughts? Somebody let me know a video for tomorrow. I do have a video that was supposed to go up today, but I didn't finish editing it because I had a lot going on today. I can still put it up tomorrow. But y'all let me know. Let me know if there is a topic about the Jazz that y'all would like to hear me talk about tomorrow, because I can record tomorrow and drop it around probably 4, maybe 6-ish p.m. Eastern. Eastern time. Just let me know. I scout draft every year. I take at least 8 prospects from 2023 over anyone in 2024. Who do I hope we draft? Honestly, I'll leave it to Danny Ainge in the front office to decide who they want, because they have a very specific way they're going about this particular rebuild. So I'm not going to sit there and pick a person that they don't think fits what they're looking for. Overall, I'll say I don't love anybody in this draft. I'm not in love with anybody in particular. Kentucky. Is it Rob Dillingham? I like him a lot. I like him a lot more than I like Keontae. But I don't think we would end up, we're not bad enough to get him. Really good guard. Gives me De'Aaron Fox vibes. Not as fast, obviously, but scoring sense and everything. Defensively, not the exact same player, of course. But just somebody to keep an eye on. Players like that. I love a good scoring guard. Reed Shepherd's a good pick. I see that, JH. Yeah, Reed Shepherd's a good one. Interesting. I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. There's always talent in every draft. Yeah, for sure, Eugene. For sure. Just some years just happen to have like more. I don't even say generational talents. Just people that are better suited for what is being looked for in the NBA at that particular year. Sometimes drafts fit it better than other times. So trading out try was nasty work. Hey, they did it still. Should the Jazz tank the next 3 years to try and keep the pick they owe to OKC? Or should they try and convey it ASAP? I was a proponent for conveying it ASAP. Convey it in the weakest draft possible, right? For me personally. Because you're going to be seeing OKC for the next several years anyways. Even when you finally become good, OKC is still going to be at the peak of their powers. So just go ahead and get rid of it early on. Make it easy. Do you think THT will get better, or do you think we should say bye-bye to him? I don't think our system in particular fits THT's skill set well. So I think as long as he stays here, he's not going to particularly see the best version of himself. So I think in his best interest for his career, if he values playing and winning and all that sort of stuff, I think he should be open to seeing another team after this year. And I think this is the last year of his deal as well. Make a video called 0-27 Pistons are a better deadline. That's insane clickbait. But the unfortunate thing is it wouldn't be that far off. If I look at our schedule right now with Keontae starting, I don't think we win a lot of those games. We might not see 40. I don't think we're going to see 40 wins anymore. I've surrendered to that fact. We might see 10 more wins, maybe. Out of 28 games, winning 10, that's not crazy. I don't think. It also depends on what 10 teams it is, though. That's going to be an important thing. Lowry will be 30 in 3 years. He's not down with tanking for 3 years. Yeah. He needs to. Something has to happen soon. As I said on Monday, more like 36 is unlikely. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah, I'm with you, Tayton. I think you said THT will have the loudest 6 points you have ever seen. I'm not gonna lie, Dink. That's the one. That's the one right there. You would have thought he had like 18. The way his points get hyped. But yeah, man. Any final thoughts, questions, concerns? Anything like that? Next 2 months we play the Clippers, Nuggets, Celtics, and Kings. Well, yeah, we're cooked. We're cooked. It's over. If you're gonna tank, just keep the pick from Eric and Van. You should trade marking him. You're gonna keep marketing the Jazz should want to convey this year and act it as such. Huh. So I think our season's over. Yeah, we're cooked. Yeah, we're cooked, Randall. I'm with you. We're cooked. It was fun, you know. I guess now my content isn't going to look so much at us winning and more so just look at the individual development of the rookies as we go on. And if some by some standard, you know, Lowry ends up developing an individualized mm, more of an individual pull up game. Like if he becomes a better isolation player or just individual, like putting the ball on the deck, then that's going to be worth the video. But by and large, we're probably going to see a lot of rough and tumble basketball coming up. You know, Sexton's going to not enjoy the rest of this year because we're going to be losing, and he's going to be hype and happy for guys to make plays, but he's going to pull on his heartstrings. Being vocally upset about the trades, yes, I did. Yes, I did, Dink. Yes, I did. hmm Definitely not our finest work. I'll say that. Definitely not. We can't start Hendricks because we already have two not very good shooters in the starting lineup. Three would be awful. I mean, he can't shoot worse than Collins has over the past 20 games. That's what I'm saying. Nah, let me chill. But low key, factually accurate. Kessler Keontae was who I was referring to. Collins is at least good from 2 point range. That is a good point. That is a good point. That's a very good point. What do you think? Why do you think we're limiting Sexton to 24 minutes a game? I think it's because we know who Sexton is and we're just trying not to injure him. I think that's probably going to be that might just end up being how he ends up playing the rest of this year, and then we might unleash him next year. I don't know, but I think expectations will change or be solidified during this off season. So we have plenty of picks. I think this summer will be crucial. Yeah, we have to do something. Danny just pulling the strings. Yeah, ultimately the front office has more power than the coaching staff, right? Because if you don't do what they like, then they'll do you like Adrian Griffin got done in Milwaukee, and they'll go ahead and pack you up record regardless. Don't matter. Because if you give him 30 minutes a game, he would definitely average 30 32 because we've seen him do it multiple 20 both times. He definitely can fill it up. They just won't allow him. Keep envisioning one team calling the other about the Atlantic trade, both sides quickly agreeing it's bad. Both sides slowly talk themselves into it. Such a bad deal for both sides. Oh, I mean, he's from Canada. The Canadians will definitely appreciate him a little bit more than we did, I guess. All season, we better use 8 of our picks to trade for DeJounte Murray and any center we can start over Kessler that can shoot respectable 30% or better from three. We gotta do something. This offseason is gonna be a big one, I think, low key. I expect there to be probably two trades. I expect there to be two trades this offseason for us. I hope to get better from them and not, continue to deplete our resources and re-sign Lowry and then ship him out. That would be kind of unfortunate, really unfortunate, by the way. But we'll see how that ends up panning out. To be quite honest, there's no guarantees of anything these days. It was good, Jeff. Yeah, man, you caught me just before I was about to hop off. I'm not gonna lie. Jazz destined to be in the lottery every year. 2047 is insane. Don't worry, we'll average 4 first-round picks per season. Do you think the refs favorite teams like LA teams and Celtics and Warriors? The superstar treatment is real. I'll say that. Superstar treatment is real. If you're an all NBA caliber talent, there's very few of them. Nobody's coming to mind right now. There is one specific player that doesn't really get the whistle like that, but by and large, most of them do get a. The refs are a little bit more partial. You're going to see a lot more anticipation calls, like calls that happen before there's actually a foul, just because they think somebody's about to foul and then they don't foul. It's like, oh well, it's too late. The whistle got blown. Because you can't call a foul off. But yeah, no, you're right. Danny's going to sign multiple solid vets, medium-sized contracts. We can start the year 500 so we can trade them for picks. We could take them. That'd be disgusting again. Good post answer. Appreciate you, Eugene. Glad you could pop in, brother. With that being said, gentlemen, we had a rough game today. It is what it is. Video dropping tomorrow, probably around noon Eastern time, so 10 a.m. if you're in Utah or in that, in that time zone. What is that? Is that Mountain Time? Correct me if I'm wrong. Mountain Time, I think. Hopefully we'll get some more clarity. There'll be more news to come out regarding the plans of the front office and everybody else on the team, like how everybody feels, what the expectations are going into the next season, and just really what things are looking like. Right now it's not too pretty, but we'll get there, He said, considering we threw Keontae into arguably the deepest pool, I said he came back well. Yes, this was a significantly improved version of Keontae George today against a team that probably fits his particular understanding of the game a little bit better than going against, the greatest shooter of all time and one of the biggest distance covering guards of all time during a game standpoint. Definitely had a bounce back game. He's deserving of praise. Let me go ahead and say Keontae did have a pretty not great defensively, but his shooting offsets his liabilitiness on the defensive side of the ball today. So I'll give him credit where credit is due. That being said, appreciate you guys always tuning in, rocking with me. This is going to be a rough stretch of the season. It's not going to get pretty anytime soon, but if we catch any W's, best believe we're going to be happy for the ones we can see. Hendrick will be fine, by the way. I trust it too. With that being said, what you said, do you think the Sexton steal was a foul? No, I don't. Randall. I don't. I'm a big let the guys play kind of thing, but we don't always get those calls, because nobody cares about us. Even at home. Even at home is crazy, kind of. But, with that being said, thanks for tuning in this video. Like the video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, become a member to get the videos faster than anybody else. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. As always, good morning, good evening, good night. No matter where you're on the globe watching, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace.